This is Cycle 2, Week 18, Fine Arts, so the last video in this quarter. And this week we are studying Van Gogh. Van Gogh's history is pretty tragic. He had a lot of mental instability and some things in his family that, weren't wonderful about his family life. So you can choose how much you want to share with your students. Obviously, the older students would be able to absorb and handle some of that content a little better. But I'm just going to kind of go through some highlights or main parts of his life. He was really close. He was the oldest of 6 children. He was really close to one of his brothers, Theo, and he was not very close to his parents at all. He wanted to work as an art dealer, but he got fired. And then he decided to become a minister, but he was unable to pass the exams to enter the seminary. So he became like a lay minister among coal workers. And this was in Belgium, and he really felt a deep sympathy for the coal workers, and he actually did a painting called The Potato Eaters that was about the coal miners, and that was one of his pieces that he was exceptionally proud of, just because he felt like it really did depict the conditions that in which the miners were working. His brother convinced him to become a full-time artist, and he agreed to support Vincent while, he was practicing his craft. And so Vincent van Gogh moved to Paris to be with his brother Theo, and he got exposed to a lot of the Impressionist ideas. And so he began to use them, and then he also used Post-Impressionism and Neo-Impressionism. We can see both of those in his paintings as well. In December of 1888, he cut off his own ear in a fit of rage when he feared that one of his friends was leaving town. He continued to struggle with mental health, and he fatally shot himself in 1890. He most wanted to paint portraits, but he rarely found someone that was willing to sit long enough to deal with his mental instability. So he's best known for using short, choppy paint strokes, and that's what we're going to be imitating today. And he used vibrant, contrasting colors. So we're going to try to encourage our kids to imitate his use of color as well. As his mental health deteriorated, his paintings actually became a lot more expressive and conveying movement and rhythm along with the use of color that he used. So we are going to try to bring in the ideas of movement and rhythm as we are doing this particular art project. There's a wider range of suggested projects for this one, so I've included several different things. What she encourages, Julie is the name of the lady that does Ridgelight Ranch, what she suggests for the youngest children is to use mixed media paper and markers, just plain markers, and to try to imitate this particular painting. This is the blossoming chestnut tree. So you can see how he's using really short, choppy strokes, and he has created this picture of a chestnut tree. And I'm going to show you some examples that other kiddos have done that she included in her book here, just so you could kind of see, maybe show your students what to expect. Obviously, this would probably be the beginning, or a younger student. This would probably be a more practiced student, or one with a little bit more skilled eye. But all 4 of these kind of give you an example of different types of things you could expect. Even if you decide to do this with the younger kids and use markers instead of paint, have them imitate the style and the movement. So short, choppy strokes, not a lot of back and forth, not a lot of broad sweeping strokes, just really short strokes to try to make the picture. It also would be probably a good idea to have them slow down at the very beginning and just look and observe the painting. If they're going to imitate that chestnut tree, have them look at the chestnut tree. What do they see? Where are the colors that they see most, and how can they use those short strokes to get a feeling that the tree is maybe swaying a little bit when the wind rustles through its leaves. For level 2, she suggests that we imitate the wheat field with cypresses, which is this painting, or with, I guess it just says wheat field with cypress, I'm assuming just one. But this is the painting that he did that she recommends that we have the next oldest kiddos or the next more experienced level kiddos tackle. She also suggests that we do this with markers. So there's a sketch drawing here of that particular painting. There's one for each kiddo, whether they decide to use it or not, but you can decide what you want to hand out to your kids. If they want to use markers, again, have them imitate the short, choppy strokes that we see when we look at that painting. Level 3, it says to actually use paint, acrylic paint, and to use short, choppy brush strokes, again, bright colors. She recommends, she has a note here, be careful not to mix or blend the paint on the paper. Continuing to move the paint around on the brush will mix and blend the paint, which is not the style of Van Gogh. So what you'd want to do is you'd want to apply the paint in a particular area and then move to a different spot. And then once the paint is dry, go back to that spot and add in either additional color or additional strokes as you need. So that would be for the next level. And then the hardest skill level, she gives the line drawing of the Starry Night, and to have them paint this again with those short choppy strokes with acrylic paint over this. Of course, if they would rather do their own drawing or their own picture, they're welcome to use the back. I've also got blank paper for each one of the kiddos, and I'll have extra mixed media paper too. And if, someone wants to do the Starry Night with markers instead of paint, obviously, that's perfect too. This is something that they could probably start, especially if some of the older kids are going to sketch something first and then paint it. It's something that they could probably start and then finish at home. Or as additional things at home, they could take a landscape and instead of using the colors that they see, make the colors a little bit more vibrant, a little bit more contrasting with each other. And then, try the same approach using those short, choppy brush strokes instead of sweeping or blending the colors together. So that is Van Gogh, and that is Cycle 2, Week 18 Fine Art.